pre-flight went okay?
Yes.
Everything except for the position light, everything else was okay?
Everything else was okay.
Oil good?
Yes, full.
And fuel is, what, 25?
Yes.
What's the average fuel burn per hour?
12.
12, yeah. And then, what would be a good reserve to have on landing back at Van Nuys?
You gotta have 20 minutes after your furthest destination.
Right. So, would that be your personal rule too, or do you have a tighter margin?
No, I come in with like 15 gallons.
Okay.
You know.
I'd say anything sort of like double the if the minimum's what 4 gallons, I'd say if you sort of double that, that would be a good safe margin.
Okay.
15 is a good very conservative margin, which is great because that's over an hour of fuel.
It's too easy to get in trouble. Just a little thing goes wrong, then another little thing goes wrong.
That's what happens.
It starts piling on.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
So you just want to stay out of that completely.
Yeah, yeah. So just planning one's endurance based on management of fuel saves a huge amount of risk. And of course, there is a low fuel warning system, isn't there?
Yes,
The
there
light.
is. Yes, it's right here.
How much fuel is on board if that comes on?
You've basically got 20 minutes left.
Not even that.
What, 40 more? Not even that? Oh.
1 gallon.
1 gallon?
1 gallon in the tank.
1 gallon. 1 gallon. Land now.
Right. Even that's kind of too late, right?
Yes.
Yeah, land out and be prepared for the engine to...
Prepare for auto rotation.
Right, it could just...
To quit it any
right
second.
out. Yeah. So 1 gallon is nothing.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, so if that light comes on, then don't even mess around. It's like find a good place and set up and be prepared for it to quit on the way down.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I never get to that situation.
No, but I mean, it's
good to know,
interesting.
yes.
You know, we kind of have that light there, and we think, okay, so it's there to tell us we're getting low on fuel, but it's not like a car where...
It's what they call an idiot light.
It is an idiot light, yeah.
That comes on and you're an idiot.
It's a good term. That's a great term, and that one certainly would be.
That's what the Americans used to call back in the day, old cars. The yellow comes on, it's like it's too late now.
Yeah, yeah.
Idiot lights on.
Idiot lights on. That's good. So not much, and not all aircraft are the same. Like some of them have sort of almost 20 minutes of fuel when that light comes on.
You
like
would expect.
A-Stars do, for example.
Oh yeah.
But this one?
No, 1 gallon.
1 gallon. Like 5 minutes if you're lucky.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So 5 minutes, you know, that's not a lot of time, but it's certainly enough time to, set up and find a safe landing area to land as soon as possible.
Yes.
And get on the ground. But, you know, as you said, it's all the missteps which have led to that point. Good. All right. So, we're going to go to Whiteman today, right?
Yes, going to Whiteman. I have the frequencies here.
Okay.
And the ATIS as well.
Have you been over
my third hand?
Oh, good. Have you been to Whiteman recently?
No.
It's operations there are fairly particular for helicopters. We're allowed to use the runway. In fact, that's the only area we can use for approaches is the runway, so we have to request the runway. And then when we get our clearance for the runway, they clear us for what they describe as low approaches.
Okay.
So a low approach is you can make your approach to the runway, but you can't land on the runway.
Okay.
But you come into hover over the runway.
That's what we did at Burbank.
Yeah.
We touched down a few times, but it just used up too much time.
Okay. Well, you know, we can definitely conclude the approach. We can stabilize into the hover, get fully stable, and then we would start the takeoff after stabilizing. So we've got enough time to finish the maneuver and without feeling like you have to immediately go into forward flight again.
Okay. No problem.
So definitely when you make your approach, if you make your approach with the idea that you're going to stabilize into the hover, get everything fully stabilized, and which would be the point, let's say that if you wanted to taxi maneuver or land the helicopter, that would happen next.
Okay.
And then once we're stabilized, fully stabilized, then start your takeoff.
Okay.
After that, yeah.
Okay. And then I was thinking we were going to go take a stag east.
Okay.
Okay, and then along the 45.
Okay, along the 45.
And then we'll enter... would enter like at 45 to the tower, or just go all the way around and come in. Enter on downwind.
Have you got a chart there?
It's in here.
Yeah, let's have that out too. That's where you need it. Yeah, definitely get yourself prepped. I see you've got notes, which is great.
Yes.
But I would back it up with having your chart available, folded out, ready for use.
Okay. Sure.
That's the best place for preparation. So I got mine. Is that the terminal?
Yeah.
Great. Terminal's a great size. I love the terminal size because you can pretty much on a page like this have kind of what you might be doing on a flight.
Yes.
So, you know, here we are, we've got the page, we can even fold it to maybe this size. You know, fold it as you like, but, you know, I
got it?
Yep, nice. Yeah, so just get it to a comfortable size that you know you can refer to.
Okay.
But you can see there that, you know, where the inner circle of the Charlie is, we want to kind of avoid that. So we probably want to come a little farther north up to the 118.
Oh, yeah, yes, to the 118, and then once we pass the, let's see, would request a frequency change. Well, I was going to tell the tower what our intentions are.
Good.
So then he already knows what to do. So he's going to go, all right, frequency change approved.
So Tango's heading for Whiteman. I'll clear him out of here.
He'll ease my workload with that. He knows I'm going to ask for a frequency change. So probably as around here, around Valley or Veteran, but definitely I would ask for a frequency change once I get to the 118.
Okay.
And then he's probably, if he doesn't give it to me, I'll already know. And then right there we'll make a hard right.
Okay.
And then we'll put in the ATIS, which I have on my third hand, which is written right here. 3.132.1 is the ATIS.
Okay.
Run to the ATIS.
Yes.
Gives us the thing.
Yes.
Okay. Then control tower, and then it's like helicopter 2128 Tango. Would like to do some pattern work with information Lima. That same, let's say that was the thing, and then and I'd say where I am. I forgot to say where I am.
Right. So
where, over, since I don't know the reporting places there, then I would ask a pilot that is familiar with the area, such as yourself, and I would ask, what is the reporting area in that area?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways to do that. Let's say that none of us are very familiar, and it's a strange airport that no one's been into. Then I would just use a distance and
okay, all right.
So you could say you're approximately 5 miles to the west.
Oh, that far?
Yeah, but you're not. But
2 miles. Like it looks like 2 miles around where the just as I start to enter. Would you say?
Yeah. Or you could just say you're west of the field.
West of the field. Okay. 2128 Tango's west of the field, requesting pattern work with information Charlie.
Okay. Now let's say that you are familiar, and we'll just switch this around a little bit. Let's say you know the 118.
Yes.
And maybe you know the 405. Maybe you know the 5.
Okay.
Maybe you know those three ways, in which case you could just tell him there. Just say I'm over the 118 at the 405, or over the 118 approaching the 5.
Okay, yes.
And that would work for him too, because it would actually help him out a little better, because he'd say, okay, I know exactly where he is now.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm over the 118, 2 miles west.
That would work.
You know, right there.
Yeah.
And then he'll probably, and then he'll tell us what to do.
Okay.
And then I repeat back what he said.
Yeah.
With 2128 Tango, and then he might let us, enter on.
And this is where there's some variables, aren't there? We're not quite sure what he's going to tell us.
I didn't say so.
But we'll just be aware, whatever he tells us, that's what we should be
like
working on.
Turning base. We might be able to enter turning base. Enter base.
Enter base. Report.
Report when you're entering base.
Something like that. Report the 5, or just you're cleared for 1-2. You don't know.
Yes, he'll probably say you're rear. Okay, once I tell him where I am and that I have information and my intentions are that I'd like to do pattern work on the runway, then he'll go cleared for the active.
Something like that. You just don't know. They could mix it up a few different ways for you.
They might tell me to do a 360 or hold your area because there's something on the runway.
Yeah.
So then I would choose.
Or they might tell you go downwind.
Extend your downwind.
Yeah.
It's a very common thing they'll say. Extend your downwind.
Right.
I'll call you.
I'll call you. Right. Right.
And then at that point, if it gets way too far and he forgets about me, then
you can ask him and say, hey, I'm still in the downwind. Or what do you want me to do now? Or
don't
do you
take
want me
it
to continue on the downwind?
Don't take it upon myself to do an orbit. Okay, right. But that won't happen usually.
No, but you're absolutely right in trying to sort of, bracket out all the variables because there could be any number of instructions. We don't know which one exactly we're going to get. But we do know that we will get an instruction, and then we will just take that next stage per the instruction. And eventually we'll be lined up as cleared for approach. And then after that, they'll probably tell us to go left traffic. So once we've done our approaches, they'll want us on the left traffic pattern.
So then we'll be going that way.
Yeah, and that's assuming that the runway 12 will be in use, which is that southeast facing runway. Yeah, that's assuming that they're going to bring us in and we're going to land on
runway 12.
Yeah, so that's facing out to the southeast. So that would be this runway here.
Right, runway 12. Yeah. And then the other side of the radial is 30.
Right.
So that's what we hear 12 or runway 30.
Right.
That's what that means.
Okay. Great. So then we can do some traffic patterns, and we'll probably exit off at some point onto the taxiway. And the taxiway is paralleling the runway. It's called the Alpha Taxiway.
Alpha Taxiway. Okay.
Yeah, and we can ask for Alpha Taxiway. We could exit at Delta, which would be, each intersection has its own letter, of course. So Delta is the farthest one down the runway.
Got it.
So when we get to that point, I'll point it out to you. But when we make that request to go onto the taxiway, we could request.
Okay, and then yeah. Okay, so we'll stay below 3,000 feet.
Yes, we want to stay below 3,000 for what reason?
Because it invades Class Charlie airspace.
Good. Yeah.
Which is Burbank Airport, which towers over.
So they come over the top of us there.
Right. So they're from 3,000 to 4,800 feet.
Yeah.
And then the pattern altitude is 2,003 feet at Whiteman.
Yeah. No. We might not get that high.
Okay.
To be honest, we can't climb that far.
So. I thought. Okay.
We'll come up as high as we can, but if we end up at 1,500 feet or 1,800 feet, that's fine.
That's okay. Is it okay?
It's okay. I mean, it's just if we can't get there, we can't get there.
Right.
So we're not going to, get too wrapped around the axle on whether we can get to 2,000 feet or not.
Okay. So 1,500. So if the pattern altitude is 2,000.
Yeah.
What? And I'm holding 1,500. Aren't they going to get upset?
No, not really. I mean, they're just going to realize that we climbed as far as we could, but we need to level out, and eventually we need to come back down again. So
okay.
In this situation, no, they're not. At Whiteman, I think they'll be fine. If we get up to sort of 1,800 feet, we'll be fine.
Okay.
We don't have the performance.
Right.
We just don't have the performance.
Right. Okay.
That high. It's okay. We don't have to kind of overwork it just to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
Good. All right then. And then we'll do different maneuvers to the runway. We'll start off with a normal approach, most likely.
Okay.
And then maybe a steep approach, something like that. And then maybe we'll do a couple of auto rotations.
Okay.
And then we can exit,
okay.
Or we might just do some normal approaches and then go on to the taxiway and do a couple of maneuvers and then finish up with some auto rotations.
Sure.
That's probably what we'll do.
Sounds good.
So we'll do a couple of regular traffic patterns. This will be the plan. We'll do a couple of regular traffic patterns. We'll then exit onto the taxiway and we'll do some maneuvers on the taxiway, and then we'll come back to the traffic pattern for some emergencies and then back here.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes, and okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
Great. That's the plan. Good.
Great. Yeah, with the doors on it would be definitely too hot.
It gets hot.
But
It comes an oven.
yeah, no, you can't.
Then it's no fun, right? You
I've experienced that
sweating. Yeah, I mean,
The sweat just drips off your forehead.
some people manage to sweat better than others, but it's no fun. Sweating out, it's just like, wow.
Right. Okay, pedals are neutral. Seatbelts fastened.
Okay, check.
Seatbelts fastened. Pedals neutral.
Okay.
Collect. Collective and cyclic frictions off. Make sure they're all the way off so they didn't vibrate back on. Okay. Feels heavy, that thing. Okay.
When you get power on, you might want to trim it a little bit if it's pulling one way or the
Yeah,
other.
it is. Okay, now I'm checking for full travel of all. The rotor is functioning properly all the way, all four areas. The tail is functioning properly. Okay, that's good. Collective, okay. Now collective friction on.
Well, before we put it on, let's keep it off and then just make sure we do the checks. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So checking the third control, and then
Okay.
the fourth will be the throttle. We'll check that too.
Okay, so I'm going to put the collective back on.
Okay,
Put it on. Okay, throttle, full travel.
good. And there's the fourth check.
That's full travel. And then fully closed. Altimeter set.
And then when it says throttles, okay.
Altimeter set.
Good, that's it.
Okay.
Altimeter set.
Altimeter set 740.
Okay.
740. Altimeter set. All avionic switches off and trim set. Trim the set to my side. Avionic switches are all off. Fuel valve open in. Fuel valve is open in. Circuit breakers are in. Circuit breakers are all in. Circuit breakers are all in. Battery switch on. Battery switch on. Fuel quantity check.
Okay.
24 gallons. Low fuel light. Press on. Low fuel light is functioning. Tail rotor chip light. Tail rotor chip light is functioning. Transmission light is on. Transmission light is on. Low RPM light. Low rotor RPM light and on. Clutch light is on. Beacon switch on. Check area to be clear. 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 Okay. Mixture idle cutoff is out. Open the throttle half an inch. That's fully closed. That's half an inch right there. Fuel pump on. Mixture full rich for 3 seconds. 2001, 2002, 2003, and off. Fuel pump off. Magneto switch to both. Throttle closed. Throttle closed. Do not open. Okay, throttle is fully closed. Starter engaged.
This way, if you want to give a little trim, if it's pulling, you can just you can see on your side. Just trim it to where you
Oh,
like
it's
it.
available at this one. Okay.
Yeah, just take the pressure and then trim to you. That's all you get. That way you don't have to fight with it.
Okay, that was good. Okay, we're gonna make sure. Okay, we're right here. Start engine. So I'm gonna push this all the way. Throttle is closed. And